They locked him away for a crime he didn't commit. 36 years, gone, because of a scar, a face, and a broken system. In 1983, Archie Williams was sentenced to life without parole for a brutal crime in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. No DNA, no fingerprints, just a mistaken identity and a system that refused to listen. But in 2019, the truth exploded. This isn't just a story of injustice, it's a story of silence, survival, and the stunning power of forensic science that set him free.
Welcome to Dark Chronicles, where shadows hide the truth.
December 9th, 1982, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, midday. A quiet home in a suburban neighborhood. A 31-year-old woman, we'll call her A.E., hears a knock on the side of her house. She answers, recognizing the black man standing outside. She'd seen him once before, weeks earlier. He claimed he was collecting clothes for the needy, but something about him made her uneasy. She tries to close the door slowly, politely, but he doesn't let her. In one swift, terrifying motion, he forces the door open and lunges inside. A.E. screams. She fights, but he's too strong. He throws her to the floor, pins her down. Then, he rapes her. Not once, twice. And he's not finished. As he attempts to assault her a third time, a car pulls up. It's her friend S.A. bringing A.E.'s daughter home. S.A. honks the horn expecting A.E. to come to the door. But there's no response, so she walks to the side door. It's open. She steps inside and calls for her friend. Inside, chaos erupts. The attacker hears S.A.'s voice and panics. He covers A.E.'s mouth. Then, without warning, he grabs a knife and stabs her twice. Once in the abdomen, once in the chest. He bolts from the room, slamming the door behind him. But fate isn't done. As he rushes toward the front of the house, he comes face to face with S.A., now holding both children. He pulls her into a bedroom, throws her against the wall. S.A. begs, "Take my car, just leave." She promises not to look, covering her eyes. And then another knock. A mail carrier at the front door. The attacker freezes. Then he runs. S.A. rushes to A.E., who's bleeding out on the floor. Somehow, she's still alive. They race her to the hospital. Emergency surgery. A rape kit is taken. She survives. The investigation begins immediately. A.E. tells police the attacker wiped down the bedroom door with his shirt. S.A. gives a description. A black man a few inches taller than her 5'4" frame. She was wearing 3-inch heels. So she says maybe 5'8", 5'9" A.E., still hospitalized, gives her own description. She's 5'7", and believes her attacker was at least 5'9", maybe even 5'11". She helps produce a composite sketch. It's different from S.A.'s version. One thing stands out. A.E.E. swears she saw a scar near the man's clavicle. Police begin a flurry of photographic lineups 8 on December 15th. Nothing. 3 more the next day. Still nothing. Then, on January 3rd, weeks later, out of a new set of 6, A.E. hesitates. One man looks similar, she says. She doesn't identify him. She just wants to see side views. Police oblige. They build a lineup with side angles. She points again, Archie Williams. But she says his hair is different. The next day, they try once more. They change Archie's hairstyle in the photo. This time, A.E. says it. That's him. Archie is arrested. But there's a catch. He's only 5'4", the same height as S.A., and the fingerprint, it's not his. That night, police arrest 22-year-old Archie Williams. No criminal record. No history of violence. A young man with a quiet life living in North Baton Rouge with his family. He swears he was home asleep during the attack. His mother confirms it. So does his sister. So does a family friend. They all say the same thing: Archie was there. On the couch. Around 11:30 a.m., the exact time the crime took place, but eyewitness memory is louder than alibis. On January 5th, the next day, Archie is placed in a live lineup. For the fourth time, AE sees him among a group. And for the first time, she positively identifies him out loud in person. SA is brought in to view the same lineup. She doesn't pick Archie. She points to someone else, but then she hesitates. She says she wanted to choose two people, but police told her she could only choose one. She's not confident, she's not certain, but the system doesn't want doubt. It wants closure. The trial comes quickly. April 18, 1983, Archie stands in the 19th Judicial District Court, charged with attempted murder, aggravated rape, and aggravated burglary. The prosecution is aggressive. They lean heavily on the eyewitnesses. AE takes the stand. She says Archie is the man who assaulted her. She sees a scar on his arm. She claims it's the same one she saw on the attacker's shoulder. She also testifies that Archie had come to her door a month before looking for the Williams family. That moment, innocent and brief, now used to paint him as a predator who returned. SA also identifies Archie in court, but she admits her uncertainty. She says she had two picks. She says she's only about 70% sure. The courtroom doesn't blink. A serologist from the Louisiana State Police takes the stand. He testifies that the seminal fluid from the rape kit cannot conclusively be tied to Archie Williams. In fact, he admits it doesn't exclude him, but it doesn't identify him either. A forensic shrug. Then comes the fingerprint evidence. Police had recovered prints from the bedroom, the same bedroom where the attack happened. They didn't match AE. They didn't match her husband. And they did not match Archie Williams. But instead of a red flag, it's buried beneath the noise. A police officer testifies that a confidential informant had said Archie resembled the composite sketch. That's it. No name, no source. Just a vague resemblance from a nameless whisper. Archie takes the stand in his own defense, calm, sincere. He tells the court he was asleep at home. His family backs him up, his sister, his mother, his friend. But the jury doesn't see a family, they see doubt. On April 21, 1983, 3 days after the trial began, the jury delivers its verdict, guilty. Archie Williams is sentenced to life in prison without parole, without a second chance. No DNA, no weapon, no motive, just a face, a scar, and a lineup shown 4 times. Archie Williams arrives at Angola Prison, Louisiana State Penitentiary, a place so notorious it's nicknamed the Alcatraz of the South. Surrounded by barbed wire and bordered by the Mississippi River, Angola is a former slave plantation turned maximum security facility. It becomes Archie's new world, and he is just 22 years old. Inside, he's not just another inmate, he's a man who doesn't belong. But no one wants to hear that. For the next 36 years, Archie lives among violent criminals, murderers, and the forgotten. He misses funerals. He misses birthdays. He watches life on the outside vanish through a crack in the concrete wall. But he doesn't give up. In 1995, Archie writes a letter to a place he believes in, a small organization called the Innocence Project, founded by Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld. They take interest. His story is compelling. No physical evidence, an alibi, a wrongful ID. They dig in. The first step, DNA testing. In 1996, the Innocence Project files a motion to test the rape kit from AE's assault. But the prosecution fights it, hard. The judge denies the motion. Years pass. They appeal. Finally, in 2007, an appeals court agrees. The testing is done. But the result, the DNA only matches AE's husband, nothing useful, nothing exonerating, no breakthrough. So the lawyers pivot. They focus on what never matched Archie from the beginning, the fingerprints. 9 of them were found at the scene. All 9 were unidentified. All 9 were never run through any national database. Starting in 1999, the Innocence Project repeatedly begs prosecutors run those prints through the FBI's Integrated Automated Fingerprint Identification System, YAFIS, a powerful tool capable of comparing millions of prints in seconds. But there's a problem: no law requires it. And prosecutors refuse, for years. 2 separate fingerprint examiners look at the evidence. They confirm 9 of the prints are suitable for comparison. Still, the state drags its feet. In 2009, prosecutors secretly run the prints not through the FBI, but through Louisiana's own lab. The result? No matches. They don't inform Archie's legal team. They say nothing. In the meantime, the world changes. In 2014, IAFIS is replaced by something even stronger. Next Generation Identification, NGI. A more accurate system. More prints. More precision. But no one moves. Until March 14, 2019. A judge, Kinasiumki Kimball, finally orders the state to run the prints through NGI. And that's when the system spits out a name. Stephen Forbes. A man convicted of multiple sexual assaults in the same neighborhood. A man who broke into a house in 1986 and tried to rape another woman just 3 years after AE's attack. A man who later confessed to 4 rapes. A man who died in prison in 1996, never once questioned about Archie Williams's case. The match is confirmed by state experts and an independent firm. The fingerprints, undeniably his. Archie Williams, after nearly 13,000 days behind bars for a crime he didn't commit, is finally vindicated. March 21, 2019. The courtroom is silent. No jury, no trial, just a joint motion filed by both the prosecution and the defense. After 36 years, the state of Louisiana admits it was wrong. Archie Williams's convictions are vacated. The charges dismissed. He walks out of Angola prison a free man, but not the same man who walked in. The cameras are waiting. Reporters swarm. Flashbulbs flicker. A man who lost more than half his life to a broken system is now headline news. He's polite, quiet, measured. He says simply, "Truth never dies." The world watches in disbelief. And then, something extraordinary happens. A year later, in 2020, Archie steps onto a different kind of stage, America's Got Talent. The lights go dim, the audience hushes, and there he is, standing alone. Not as an ex-convict, not as a headline, but as a man who's come back to life. He tells his story. 36 years behind bars for a crime he didn't commit. How he used music to survive. How he sang in prison to stay sane. And then he sings. Elton John's "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me." The crowd erupts. Judges tear up. Simon Cowell breaks down, calling it one of the most powerful moments in the show's history. Overnight, Archie's story spreads across the globe. Millions watch. Millions cry. Millions ask, how did this happen? And that's the real story. Because Archie's nightmare isn't rare, he's not the only one. In fact, eyewitness misidentification is the leading cause of wrongful convictions in the United States. In Archie's case, it wasn't just bad memory, it was bad procedure. Showing the same suspect in multiple lineups, relying on uncertain witnesses, ignoring key discrepancies like his height, his alibi, and most damning of all, the fingerprint evidence that never matched. Then, there's the obstruction. Prosecutors refused for years to run the prints through national databases. They denied DNA testing. They hid the failed fingerprint search in 2009. And all the while, the real attacker, Stephen Forbes, lived and died without ever facing justice for the crime that stole Archie's freedom. In 2020, Archie Williams files a federal civil rights lawsuit. He sues for the years lost, the suffering endured, the system that failed him. The state of Louisiana awards him $330,000 in compensation. That's less than $10,000 per year of wrongful imprisonment. Let that sink in. For 36 years, he woke up behind bars, ate prison food, missed weddings, watched his loved ones grow old. For 36 years, he was labeled a rapist, an attempted murderer. And for what? Because someone thought he looked familiar. Because justice didn't wait for proof. Because truth wasn't loud enough. But now his voice is. Archie Williams has turned his pain into power. He tours. He sings. He speaks out for the innocent. And every time he opens his mouth, he reminds us of something the courts forgot. Freedom isn't given, it's fought for. But here's the part that chills us to the bone. Archie Williams wasn't exonerated because the system worked. It was because he never stopped screaming into the void. And even then, it took 24 years of letters, motions, rejections, and appeals just to get someone to run a damn fingerprint. Technology had the answer all along. But bureaucracy held the key. Think about that. A fingerprint. A single match. A name that had been in the system for years, Stephen Forbes. A man with a history of sexual violence. A man who attacked women just miles from AE's home. A man who confessed to multiple rapes. And still, no one looked for him. Why? Because prosecutors didn't want to be wrong. Because once they locked up Archie, the case was closed. And in that false sense of closure, truth suffocated. Let's rewind to the trial. Remember the scar. The eyewitness said it was near the clavicle. In court, they pointed to a scar on Archie's arm and said, "That's it." The jury nodded. No objection. No question. Or the height. SA said the man was taller than her while she was wearing heels. AE said 5'9" to 5'11". Archie Williams, 5'4". Nobody cared. The jury saw a black man accused of rape. That was enough. This isn't just a story about a wrongful conviction. It's a story about how evidence is ignored, how bias becomes truth, and how the justice system resists correction even when it's staring the truth in the face. And what about the real victims? AE was attacked and nearly killed. She believed the man she identified was her attacker. But the system failed her too, because while they locked up an innocent man, the real predator continued to roam free. The public sees Archie now singing, smiling, shining, and thinks it's a happy ending. But there is no happy ending when you've lost 3 decades. There's only survival. Archie once said in an interview, "Prison was designed to break men, but I refuse to be broken." That's more than a quote, it's a war cry. He emerged not bitter, but burning with purpose. He became a living indictment of a system that confuses conviction with justice. A walking reminder that freedom delayed is freedom denied. He now fights for others like him, names we don't know yet, stories we haven't heard, lives still caged by error or ego. In the end, this isn't just about Archie Williams. This is about the shadows that still haunt courtrooms today. The fingerprints untested, the appeals ignored, the men and women crying out just like Archie once did, "I didn't do it." And the question that haunts us most, how many more Archies are still behind bars? This was his story, but it shouldn't have been. And if you think justice was served, look again, because this was not justice. This was survival, and Archie Williams survived it.